past us just for the moment. And the clouds, you can see some light coming through, so it looks like they're starting to break and clear a little bit, but then across a pond, a body of water that we're parked near, you can see a dark row of clouds that look fairly ominous. So it's really hard to tell where things are happening and when they're going to happen. Krista?
Yeah, and we're just taking a look at the map. Where you are is Westminster, not far from Princeton. And it doesn't look like you're getting the worst of what this storm has to offer, but it looks like Jeremy is just rushing some new information. I don't know if we should go to Pete or not here, if that's a warning.
Let's stay with you, Vicki, until they're ready. Are you guys ready to go with this?
That one right there that Pete zooming in on, we can now confirm that's a tornado. Law enforcement in Westford has confirmed tornado.
So that's the first confirmation of the day, correct? Yes. And that was in Westford, which is up on the Westfield, which is right near Springfield. And this was just the latest tornado warning to come in. So maybe now we have ground confirmation for what they saw earlier on Doppler, Pete?
Correct, Matt. Yeah, that would be ground confirmation that we were waiting for, and that's a very populated area right now. You're looking at the possible rotation of the tornado in yellow near the D in Springfield. That'd be the tail end of this storm, the stinger on this storm, so to speak, and you have the rain plume all the way through Wilbraham. But ground confirmation now of a tornado outside the city of Springfield, Massachusetts. So this is the first of the afternoon, and this is the most important piece of information that we can pass along from this particular storm. That was from law enforcement out of
Westfield? Westfield.
Thank you.
Okay. And we don't know any details about this, just that this was a ground confirmation. We don't know anything about the size of this thing, but obviously this is our first confirmation and certainly adds a whole new dimension to this coverage that we've been bringing you now since 3 o'clock when the first warnings were issued for western Massachusetts. And this comes to us by way of law enforcement once again in the town of Westfield, which is just outside of Springfield. And when you think about that being so close to, you know, a major city, I'm not talking about Boston here, but Springfield is a sizable city. That's pretty worrisome, Pete.
That's right, Krista. And you can see the radar is actually showing possibly two areas of rotation, although I imagine that some of that is offset from two different radar sites trying to sample the same storm. So right where we're depicting it would possibly be the actual tornado on the ground. So I correct myself, instead of being near the D in Springfield, it may be just to the northeast of that, but we'll go by what the radar is showing us and what the scan of the storm is showing us. So that is huge. This was a storm that has had a history of damaging winds and hail, and this is a storm that was kind of on the southern flank of the whole line, and it didn't seem to have the gumption that the other one did up near Barry and back over towards Spencer, but you could see it's all by itself, and it is the one that is in the southern flank. I mean, it's classic here in the situation of where it is and its location to other storms. It's ingesting the most humid air. It has the most potential to be severe because of that, and it is the lone wolf in the pack here. So that one is a nasty storm. Let me try and get a track on that. That is headed eastbound. It's not giving me a track here. Hang on a second.
Pete, what's your reaction when you hear about a tornado spotted near a city of 150,000 people?
My first reaction is it's in a populated center, and there's going to be a lot of debris flying around, Matt. Yeah. That's the biggest worry, is that, you know, if it's remote, it's in the distance, there are a lot of tree branches, but now we're talking about buildings being affected, traffic, lots of damage. That's all I can think of in a populated area, and of course injuries. So.
And we have no sense of strength of this tornado, but history tells us here in Massachusetts, here in New England, we deal mostly with EF0s, which are the weakest of the tornadoes.
Correct, yes. On the range, on our scale, the Fujita scale, we'd be, you know, in the lowest part of the range. It goes from EF0 to EF5, so it would be a 0 or 1 typically. But that's not to say, I mean, we can't even speculate on this because we just don't have an indication of what it's doing right now, and if it's still on the ground even. It might have even gone back up into the cloud. Typically touchdowns in New England are brief, and they're not long lasting. But, you know, the one in New Hampshire, that's, you know, that was one of the rare ones that we had in southern New Hampshire a couple years back, where that one did stay on the ground for a little while. Now here again we go with the wind field around that tornado, the inbound, outbound. You have the wind coming in and going away, plus and minus. So we're talking about 25, 35, 60 miles an hour, what we call shear, 60-mile-per-hour shear. Now, if you want to, compare apples to apples, when we were talking about the tornadoes in the Midwest, you were talking about near 100 to 200 miles per hour in shear. So this one's a lot smaller. So, if I had to speculate, I'd say it's on the low end of our Fujita scale range, which goes out to an EF0. So it's not looking like, something cataclysmic. But, I mean, when you're talking about damage of any sort from a thunderstorm, it's not good news, Matt.
Yeah, and you know what, Pete, we're getting a little bit more information on this tornado bulletin here. Apparently, this Westfield tornado that was cited was in the Shaker Road area, happened around 4:35. It says here a tornado was reported by amateur radio operators half a mile from Main Street in Springfield, headed toward downtown Springfield. So clearly this is taken a much different direction here, hasn't it?
Right, yes, absolutely. This storm is eastbound at about 35 miles per hour. I didn't get the actual confirmation on that, Jeremy. Do you have that?
It's moving at about 40 miles per hour.
40 miles per hour, okay.
Correct, yep.
So it's a quick mover, but it has the potential for a tornado. Where was I going with this? I was trying to do a scan on this.
Well, Pete, let me jump in there if I could from what's going on in Westfield, where law enforcement has spotted a tornado, to Brookfield, which is over near the Quabbin Reservoir. Different system moving through there. We'd like to speak right now to the police chief there in Brookfield. This is Michael Blanchard. And Chief, thanks for joining us. What are you seeing there?
Right now, it's the wind's picked up a little bit. It actually looks like it just died down again, but there is frequent lightning and a little bit of rain. It looks like it might be skirting us to the north.
And Chief, we just need to explain to our viewers, you're talking to us from Brookfield. The
Correct.
Pictures that we see live on our screen right now are from Springfield, Massachusetts, and that's the area of concern right now, talking about a tornado that was visible to law enforcement moving in that direction. So we just wanted to clarify that for our viewers. Didn't mean to interrupt you. You can continue on with telling us a little bit more about the conditions and your preparedness route there.
Well, like I said, it doesn't look too bad right now. It's light rain. It had showered a little bit. The wind seems to have died down again, but there is frequent lightning. So as far as preparedness, we have on standby reverse 911 if a severe storm does come this way. If that storm's getting closer and is still tornadic, we'll utilize the reverse 911 system.
Chief, have you received any reports of damage in your town or surrounding towns?
Nothing in my town, no. I received, just through the National Weather Service, that there was some sort of rotation a little bit to the north and west of us over Ware and New Braintree, but that's just a little northwest of us.
Yeah, Jeremy is just chiming in here, Chief, and telling us that it appears that the storm system that you're seeing is falling apart. That's not maintaining its strength. So for you, that's absolutely really good news.
Right. It definitely doesn't look too bad. I mean, the wind was probably about 50 miles an hour. Now it looks like it's pretty still out there.
All right. We appreciate your time, Chief. And just to clarify for our viewers in that area, the system we were just talking about with the Chief launched a tornado warning earlier in east central Hamden, southeastern Hampshire, extreme southeastern Franklin, and west central Worcester counties. That tornado warning will expire in 15 seconds, as I say it. So that system clearly has cleared up, and we are happy to hear that. Let's go back to JR.
Yeah, the downside to that is that the new tornado warning shifts farther south in Worcester County. So you folks in the Brookfield area, you are no longer under the threat of tornadic activity. You folks in the Sturbridge and Southbridge area, you now need to be concerned because we have a tornado warning. In fact, we had pictures actually up from our sister affiliate in Springfield actually showing damage from possibly that tornado. Just a quick glance there. Law enforcement did report a tornado from the Springfield tornado warning, so that's not radar indicated. That's actually someone with their own eyes saying, hey, that is a tornado. That is a funnel cloud. That is serious. So we can confirm that thunderstorm right there, that's most likely the Connecticut River you're looking at there in the Springfield area. Springfield, Wilbraham, Hamden, Monson, Brimfield, and heading into Sturbridge. That's the concern for this thunderstorm that is now producing a tornado and perhaps That's pretty significant damage there. In fact, if you can, we don't have
trees that were sheared right off.
Well,
right
did you see how they were snapped at halfway up? That's the sign of a tornado. This is not us controlling it, so we're at the mercy of the folks in Springfield. But as they were scanning around there, it looks like the tops of those trees were all just lopped off.
Now, how can you say that's a tornado and not straight line winds? I know that's the question that's often asked.
Well, typically, when you talk about tornadic activity, it has the effect to literally just, the wind strength is stronger at the top of the tree versus with the straight line wind. That's actually wind hitting the ground and lifting the whole tree or knocking it over. In this situation here, that's actually twisting and turning of the wind. The twisting of the wind almost literally twists the tree from the top half off, almost like you're twisting a bottle cap off a beverage bottle. You twist that. So that's the
right there. I don't know if you're seeing that. That is a toppled tractor trailer. Yep. So obviously, and that's on a bridge there going over the Connecticut River there in Springfield. So wind strong enough to topple that tractor trailer that's now on its side. And you can see what cars are doing. They're trying to drive into the median, make their way around that tractor trailer. We were talking about it. It's everybody's worst case scenario when a tornado potentially hits a populated area. You'll always want these deadly systems to stay out in the more rural areas, stay away from the population centers, but it appears that some very strong winds, possibly a tornado, smacked Springfield this afternoon.
Yeah, and this is still pretty fresh, obviously, because clearly there's no traffic control going on right now, so everybody is just trying to make their way around it. Conversely, I don't see any kind of roof damage or anything like that. Jeremy, did you spot any of that? Obviously, it's hard from this vantage point, but that is something that would definitely go along with wind speeds of 60, 65 miles per hour, maybe greater, right?
Correct. Now, I didn't hear, and I don't hear now, but when you folks were interviewing the gentleman and we were just receiving the pictures, it actually did like we had some sporadic roof damage to some of the buildings in the Springfield area. So again, that's the concern. And you folks in Sturbridge and Southbridge and Brimfield, this storm is heading your way. I don't want to say tornado's heading your way, but Sturbridge, you're under a tornado warning. Southbridge, you're under a tornado warning. So again, until 5:15, as this whole line continues to move east, this individual cell moves east at about 40 miles per hour. What you're looking at right now is the Springfield area from a tower camera. We're not controlling it. We're at the mercy of our sisters out through a sister station out through the Springfield area. Again, Pete is estimating gate-to-gate shear, 70 miles per hour.
Now it seems to have ramped up, Jeremy. We're looking at, if you go over to radar, well, if we could go over to radar real quick.
Do you see the house there real quick, that building?
Wow.
Just real.
Yeah, well, we're getting the scans on these on this particular rotation in this particular cell, and what could be the possible tornado. Now, the gate-to-gate is about 70 miles per hour, which is the highest that we've seen this afternoon. And now that we've had ground confirmation of an actual tornado coming out of this storm, we could maybe say that this is on the ground, perhaps. I don't know.
Well, here's
a strong indication and a strong argument that it's still maybe ongoing, this situation.
Correct. And if you're in the Sturbridge area, Fiskdale, you need to start thinking about your safe plan. And it's understandable if you don't have a safe plan, because these tornadoes are not a common occurrence in Massachusetts. Only about 2 to 3 every year, and typically they are brief and isolated and not intense. But this one is definitely intense. We saw the damage there in the Springfield area. So if you folks, go ahead.
And Jeremy, you can see too on the radar, we have the arrival times on the next half hour or so, or 45 minutes or so, all the way out to Quinnebog and Southbridge. But you can see on the radar now, if we take away some of the storm track, and you can see that hook on the back end of that, and that, boy, really stands out to me as being significant in this storm. And that's a classic situation maybe unfolding here. And this may be a pretty decent-sized tornado if we had to hazard a guess here.
Based on that radar right there, you see where it's hooking around? It would almost, to me, Pete, that would say Wilbraham-Monson. Wilbraham-Monson is perhaps where we have that tornado, the Wilbraham area.
Southern end of Palmer.
Yes, Wilbraham-Monson, Palmer, heading east at 40 miles per hour. So you folks in Sturbridge and Warren, you know your part of the world pretty well, obviously, so you know how far away it is from Wilbraham and Monson and Palmer. So you need to think about your severe weather plan.
It is just to the south of the Mass Pike right now, just south and east of Ludlow. Again, we're pinpointing what we seen what seems to be possibly the tornado on the ground now, just to the south of the Pike, in Monson and maybe the southwestern part of the town of Palmer right now, but mostly in the westernmost part of Monson, right on the Mass-Connecticut border, which would be about right here, southwest of what you're seeing. That spin.
And the concern with that is that as that supercell rolls east-southeast, you have all that inflow coming up from Connecticut, all of that warm, humid air flowing into the storm from Connecticut. So I don't know if there's a chance for the storm to weaken, is what I'm trying to say.
And
now that's even stronger.
Right.
That's up to 80, isn't it?
I think we're 80 now, Jeremy. So
you had 45 and 35?
Right.
Yeah.
We're seeing, I mean, if I could plot that, right, the colors were the most contrast.
I saw the 35.
Yeah,
so
there it is. It's on top of each other. But, yeah, you add those two numbers together.
And keep in
Forget
mind,
about the minus sign. Just add them together.
You know, Tuscaloosa, to keep it in perspective,
Right.
Tuscaloosa had 200 miles per hour this year.
Right.
So this is not, you know, the finger of God. This is not F5.
Right.
But this is still a tornado. This is a tornado on the ground.
And enough to topple a tractor trailer and rip the tops off trees, as we've seen.
Yeah, in Springfield, the live pictures keep coming in, and this fixed camera keeps zooming around just to kind of search for damage. And as Matt mentioned, we've seen numerous trees just snapped in half, limbs down. Jeremy says looks like a telltale sign of a tornado there in Springfield, a populated city. We have on the phone somebody who apparently witnessed this tornado. His name is John Schumacher, teacher. John, thanks for joining us.
John, are you with us?
I am.
What did you see, my friend?
Well, we were traveling with 190 kids on 4 buses, and we literally were stopped on the highway, and 100 yards in front of us, we saw the eye of the storm move right across the highway. It was something like you would see on TV, not something that really happens right in front of you. There were literally pieces of roofs, of signs, etc., being thrown around onto the highway and off the highway.
And what road was this on?
This was 291 heading towards the Pike. We were literally, 10 minutes out of Six Flags.
Obviously, what went through your head at that time?
Well, it was interesting because, again, it was almost like we were watching a movie. It wasn't like this was really happening. At the time, of course, being the teacher, it's like, my gosh, I've got all these kids here. What if something happens to us? Well, also, at the same time, it's you start thinking about yourself and wonder about, what is this where it all stops? So it was a little scary.
Were you on a field trip at the time, or what was going on?
Yeah, we do this yearly. We take the kids to perform at the park, and then we also, after they perform at the park, they go on the rides. And obviously, we've been hearing about the weather warnings. We kept an eye on it, and we did leave the park a little early just in anticipation of the storm. But again, as we pulled out, it just got worse and worse.
Mr. Schumacher, it appears the worst of it went just to the south of you guys. What did it feel like on board that bus when the system went through? Could you feel it sway the bus?
Hey, I'm sorry, you guys. Can you ask one more time? It's a little tough to hear.
No problem. I was asking, could you feel those winds sway the bus? We have seen...
No, that actually, we didn't actually feel anything. We could see it all in front of us. We could see the power of it, but we were, just close enough where it wasn't like it was actually rocking the bus. So we were seeing it all happen in front of us, but it wasn't like we were being pushed around.
And you said you saw debris flying through the air. That must have been pretty dangerous.
Again?
The debris flying through the air, large pieces of debris. You said signs?
You guys, I'm sorry, but I guess we're going to have to break it off. My connection is not as good now.
Okay, we understand that. Thank you so much.
Michael Schumacher there, we appreciate his time, or John Schumacher, I should say, and, first-hand account of what it was like to be on the road right there near the Mass Pike when the worst of it moved through, at least where he was.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that was that we just saw flashed on the screen. Was that a still picture that was brought into us from a 7 News viewer there? Okay.
Was that looking eastbound?
It was a still shot, and it looked like something that we hadn't seen before. So, yeah, we're continuing to track this tornado warning here on 7 News, and also ground confirmation of one right here on 7 as Pete begins more of our coverage at 5.
Mary, just south of Palmer, we're seeing on radar what we deemed to be possibly a tornado on the ground now. And you can see the arrival times for this particular cell as it goes through Holland and Fiskdale, Sturbridge, Southbridge, Quinnebog, and this is our best confirmation of what seems to be a tornado. We don't have a ground confirmation, so we can't officially say it's on the ground and it's heading eastbound at this certain speed, but the strongest signals of the afternoon have been shown out of this particular cell, and we're seeing the strongest wind field out of this cell, and it has that hook to it, just like the fish hook, curling around, and your tornado would be right here on the stinger of this bee, and you could see all the intense rain and possible hail ahead of it. What we're looking at essentially is the precipitation field out of a tornadic thunderstorm, the one that did put down a possible tornado in Springfield. But it is headed eastbound, and you get your bearings here. This is the Pike I-90, and we're headed near the I-84 interchange. So if you know anybody who's on that right now, it might be a good idea to just give them a holler and pull it over and pause for a little moment and let this thing blow through. But if you're in the path of this tornadic thunderstorm, this tornado warning is up for this particular cell, you need to be prepared, and you need to do your safe plan action right now at 5:02 in Holland, Fiskdale at 5:05, 5:08 in Sturbridge. A lot of folks in the path of this storm, and you really need to go to the lowest part of your house or your apartment or wherever you live and go to the lowest part. If you don't have a basement, that'd be the center room, away from the windows, away from the outside walls. And there'll be debris flying if this is a tornadic thunderstorm, and there seems to be some signature that there might be a tornado still on the ground in Palmer and possibly in Munson. The northern end of Munson right now seems to be the part that is being affected by this tornado. If there is a touchdown.
Yeah, I was going to say Munson.
Go ahead, yeah.
No, go ahead.
Jeremy.
I was just going to show you the map.
Oh, okay, yep.
Munson and Palmer.
And just right along the Munson-Palmer border. I don't really know that area very well, to be honest with you. I haven't been there, but we're trying to get our bearings here. But this is the rotation, and we're seeing it from 2 radar sites, too. That is important because, I mean, you get one scan from one area, and, yeah, it's at a distance, and, yeah, it's so many 100 miles away and not getting the best scan. But we have this dissected from both ends. The Albany radar comes in from the west, and the Taunton radar gets it from the southeast. So this is a good solid scan and a good indication that there is a tornado out of this storm. So again, we'll stay on the air and talk about this. Headed eastbound just along and south of the Pike. The intense rain and the lightning has been very vivid. These are tornadic thunderstorms. These are supercell thunderstorms, New England supercells, which means they're not really equated with the same intensity as the Midwestern thunderstorms that go to 70 or 80,000 feet and tower forever into the sky and almost go to the top of the troposphere and head out into space. That's not what we're seeing. But these are definitely our kind of thunderstorms where they put down these tornadoes, which can be on the low end of the scale. Our scale goes from 0 to 5, and sometimes they're on the low end of that, and they're not as intense. But nonetheless, we're not letting our guard down. You need to be prepared in these towns. This isn't a moment to panic. It's a moment to think about what you need to do and head to the lowest part of your interior part of your house. If you're in a mobile home, you need to abandon that and maybe head to an open area, a shelter, or someplace else. You have some time still before this heads into Southbridge and Sturbridge, although it's getting pretty tight here. But if you're in Holland, it's time to just buckle down and just wait for this thing to pass by. So we'll have more on this, of course, as we go through the course of the afternoon. But this is a tornadic thunderstorm. Get your bearings now. This is Spencer. Worcester's on the edge of your screen. Charlton and down through Southbridge. The path on this storm is eastbound, just south of the Pike right now. And a tornadic thunderstorm with a tornado warning now just to the south of the Mass Pike. Other storms up near Ware and Worcester and Spencer and Rutland have been ongoing, but they have merged together. We've had some cell mergers going on. These individual thunderstorms kind of just cluster into one band, and this one also may be trying to start a rotation here. You can see on the back end of it, it curls around or starts to. So now we have 2 distinct possible supercells kind of moving eastbound. That has whittled down the whole field, though, where we had tornadic thunderstorms in southern Vermont and southern New Hampshire as well. We don't have that situation now. Our focus is really on this one in Palmer and Brimfield, and you can see by, I mean, every time the scan goes by, you see that hook get a little bit sharper. I'm not sure if this is a debris ball or not. It seems separated from the actual part of the intense precipitation that we're seeing, but I can't speculate. I really can't because it's a little too early in the game here. But this is headed eastbound again around 35 to 40 miles per hour. We'll have much more on this. Stay with us.
We begin 7 News at 5 with a weather alert for those of you just joining us. Severe weather is striking across the state right now. There is a tornado warning in Worcester County in effect until 5:15. Take a look at this video and get a sense of the storms that we are watching. There are also reports of a tornado touching down in Westfield. And we have the scene in just the last hour in Springfield. We've been watching as we've seen large trees, and look at the flying debris. Large trees down as the storm passed through. This is the Westfield and Springfield area. We've had some eyewitness reports. We're following this as we go, and this has actually been going since about 3 o'clock in various intensities, but just in the last 30 minutes becoming this situation.
All right, let's go now to Chief Meteorologist Pete Bouchard. He's tracking these storms and where they're headed. Pete?
So now we have ground confirmation. This is important because now we have ground confirmation and we have some numbers to put to that. So we're assuming that with the shear profiles that we're seeing, we're throwing some weird words out here right now, that we can go with the idea that maybe this is still on the ground now.
This is a new tornado warning.
And that this is possibly still on the ground in Munson and back into the southern end of Palmer.
Central Worcester.
Go ahead, Jeremy. We're just getting this info.
Tornado warning now extended for central Worcester County. This does include the city of Worcester. South central Middlesex County. This includes Framingham. This is until 5:45.
So we're going to stay on the air for another 45 minutes and track this as it heads eastbound.
It's for that right there. So
this is
along and south of the Pike.
Right.
In Worcester County.
So now the situation, the ante has been upped here. So we have ground confirmation. We have video that you're seeing of the tornado as it went through Westfield and Springfield. And this is a pretty good tornado here with a lot of debris flying around. And, you know, we really don't know if it's an EF0, EF1, EF2, but this is a tornado that is holding together. Typically in New England, we have the touchdowns and then they move on and that goes back up into the cloud. But now we're actually seeing this hold together and possibly still on the ground now. This is very important to mention. And possibly heading into Brimfield and Wales, Massachusetts right now. So if we go back to radar, wow. This is something else, folks. Now we're getting close to 100 miles an hour. What we do is we take these two numbers and forget the minus sign. We add them together to get an idea how much shear, how much wind is being turned in the atmosphere underneath this thunderstorm. And we're close to about 100 miles per hour. So now we're starting to think that maybe this is not only on the ground, but we're not dealing with an EF0 or an EF1. The more, higher the number, I should say, the higher the number, the higher this number gets, the better chances that we're seeing possibly that this tornado is a little bit bigger and a little bit stronger, too. These are the signatures that we're getting. And I believe, Jeremy, this is out of Albany. This is important, too.
Now I've shifted to Taunton because
okay.
the radar storm is approaching Taunton. So the green is heading toward Taunton.
Correct, okay.
And the red is out away from Taunton.
Okay, gotcha, because that's important. That's what I was just wondering. Okay.
Yep.
Red is out away from Taunton. So the difference is that we scan it from one side, we scan it from the other, and you get a better idea of the location of the tornado. And also, when you have this strong wind field, if you have a radar way, way out seeing that, it may be still way up in the cloud. But if it's closer to the ground and a better chance that it's actually making contact with the ground. So now let me take away the numbers and we'll look at the colors once again. And you can see that right around Brimfield and Wales, we have most likely a tornado on the ground. I'm not even going to guess on that one, folks, because this looks pretty set in stone. Near
Hardwick.
Near Harvard?
No, Hardwick.
Hardwick, okay.
Near about 15 miles east of Amherst. Amherst, okay. Excuse me, Amherst.
Amherst. Okay.
So if it's in Hardwick, that would...
Hardwick doesn't seem like it's anywhere near that. I'm thinking Brimfield, Jeremy?
Yep, and Fiskdale as well.
I'm thinking Fiskdale. I mean, this is important.
We're talking tiny little towns now that might...
Right. Okay, let's regroup here and let's figure out what's going on here. But this is confirmed tornado now on the ground, possibly in Brimfield, headed eastbound, just near the Mass Pike Interstate 84 interchange. So we'll be watching this one very carefully. Over to you guys on the desk now. I guess we're taking a phoner.
Sure. All right, Pete, as we wait for you to gather that information, we know this confirmed tornado in Westfield and Springfield. There was a student named Molly who was there and witnessed this. So, Molly, you're there on the phone with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay, tell us exactly what you saw as we were looking at video here of this dramatic video of the twister.
Can you repeat the question, please?
And just describe what you saw.
Okay, so I'm on a bus going home from Six Flags, and we saw a very dark cloud in the sky, and it began to circulate a little bit. And we didn't think it would touch the ground, but quick enough it did. And it immediately began to hover across the highway, and cars had stopped due to the fast-moving tornado. And it crossed over the highway to the other side of the highway, and it started circulating really badly over some houses, and it took shingles off of houses, and it took down some trees, and there was a really
35 out and one in. What's this green here? This is like 5 or 10 maybe? Just one. Okay, so at least on this scan, it's lost its
lost a lot of rotation there.
Now, we have to be careful because sometimes these storms at this elevation, they're rotating, and then suddenly that rotation actually drops a little bit. So it actually, if this is the radar beam, this pen, sometimes the radar beam can shoot over the rotation. So perhaps that's what's going on, is that the tornado is getting close enough to the radar that perhaps it's the beam is overshooting the rotation. So again, we don't want to let that one get away from us there just yet.
You still have the signature hook echo with that, and you can see that in the back side of that hooks back around like that, so that's still a concern. All right, back to the news desk.
It definitely is something else when you're looking at these storms and tornadoes on radar, but definitely overwhelming when you see video. We are getting new video in now. Let's go to Matt Lorich, who brings that to us.
Viewers now sending us some home video. We want to roll that for you, and apparently the image is pretty small. This coming from a cell phone is what we were told. As we show you this video, we're also hearing from a spokesperson for the mayor of Springfield, and we are happy to report no injuries reported there in Springfield. He says he was looking out his city hall window around 4:30 this afternoon when he saw a massive cloud of debris floating in a circle. Okay, so here is that home video, and you can see it's a little bit wobbly, but if you look through it, you can definitely see the dark skies overhead, and you can try to make out the funnel there in the center of your screen. I believe this was shot in the Springfield area as well. So the funnel then roars through downtown Springfield. According to the spokesperson for the mayor, reports of heavy damage though in the city's south end section. He says trees were uprooted downtown. We've seen some of that. He also says city officials rushed into the basement when the danger became apparent, but as I said, he reports no injuries. The State Police Communications Center, by the way, has been fielding numerous calls regarding tornado sightings. The latest cities to report a tornado touching down: Springfield, as we've been saying, Munson, and Wilbraham, and now we may want to add Worcester to that list. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Matt. Yes, we've been learning from our meteorologists there are actually 2 supercells, one in the Worcester area, but the one that we've really been watching that seems to have touched down and moved along is the one that we were just showing you a video from also the Springfield area. We have another eyewitness report in terms of a viewer who has joined us right now. It's Peter Parzik. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Peter, are you with us from Sturbridge?
Yes, I am.
Can you tell us, you witnessed the storm? Can you tell us, is that so? And what did you see?
We witnessed it. We were right in the middle of it. There was about 6 football fields worth of tornadic material flying everywhere. There's trees down here everywhere in Sturbridge. I'm tracking the field right now, and it is currently, like I said, about 6 football fields wide in places, and it just goes on and on, town after town here, it looks like.
Well, Peter, you're describing the aftermath, but how about when that storm actually touched down? Were you inside? Did you seek shelter, or were you outside in a vehicle? Or
we were in a vehicle, and there was nowhere to go except the opposite direction.
So you stayed in the car, you didn't pull over?
We stayed in the car, and it just literally came up over the range here, over a mountain, and it come down, and we just went the other way. We turned around and went, I think we were going west, but I'm not sure.
Do you know, let's clarify, because you are in the Sturbridge area. Where were you driving approximately?
We were coming over from the
Where's my sister?
And
we're coming over from the Auburn area.
Okay. And how long did you see the storm activity last, and how long since you think it's cleared out? Is it better now? Gone?
Well, yeah, it's gone now. There's just heavy thunder.